All right, music fans, welcome back. It is Dave, the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people, just like you right there, and yours truly right here, me. So before I go and talk about what I'm going to talk about here, I wanted to mention the Journey tribute band by the name of Escape. These are the guys up in Northeast Ohio that I talk about from time to time. I got some photographs of their concert up in Mentor, Ohio. Mentor Rocks, it's called. And all I saw was this giant wall of people. I saw the band on stage, and then you look out, and it's just humanity. All right? Folks, I know a lot of people just tune me out when I talk about this group, and, like, tribute band? Oh, come on, Dave. Really? Yeah, really, they are that good. Their singer, actually the entire band, but their singer, if you're looking for a Perry sound-alike, this guy is it, okay? And does he sound? No, nobody sounds exactly like Steve Perry. We've established that. But he sounds so much like Perry that people are watching with their jaws open, their mouth dropped open, because he's that good. All right. Moving on, Steve Augeri, the guy who at one time was installing toilet bowls at the Gap, is probably one of the nicest people on planet Earth, and I would urge everybody, if they haven't just sent Steve Augeri a message of thanks for his service in Journey, they probably should. This video is about what would have happened if Steve Augeri's voice hadn't given out on him. Of course, he was touring relentlessly, working his butt off. He understood his place in the world at that point, and he was taking advantage of the moment. He was probably saying to himself, wow, this is pretty amazing. This is an amazing ride. I'm with one of the greatest rock bands of all time, and I need to make the most of it. And he's carried that attitude forward into his current band, the Steve Augeri Band. But imagine if Augeri had continued on. When he started with the band, they were playing 1,500-seat small venues, small auditoriums. And at the very beginning, they were having some difficulty putting people in those seats. By the time he left, okay, outdoor concerts, festivals, 60, 70,000 people. Steve Augeri had won the hearts and minds of most Journey fans in a situation that was nearly impossible for him because you're replacing the very iconic Steve Perry. Now, here's something a little interesting, and a side note here. Every singer that Journey has had other than Steve Perry seemed like he really wanted to be in the band. Now, I've been thinking this through, that did Perry want the success? Did he want to be there at the outset? Yes. Then he got preoccupied with controlling the group and shaping the group and really changing what they were all about. If you look back during the Greg Raleigh period, I think the band was retaining some of their sound that they had started with. But by the time you get past Escape and Jonathan Cain and all of that, you've got a different band. And by the time you get to Raised on Radio, you've got a very different band. And when Steve Augeri was with Journey, they made music that was very consistent. Now, the Generations thing, I can tell you, if I were, advising the band, I would have said, you know what, maybe have Dean Castronovo sing one song on this and have Augeri sing the rest. Ross Valerie singing a song was not a good idea. I think Neil did a song on there as well. And Neil has had a legitimate hit song with No More Lies, okay? But to make that decision to waste a track on Ross, I'm sorry, I love Ross as a bass player, not so much as a singer. Of course, that wasn't the demise of the band or anything like that. It happened when Augeri got sick and his vocal cords gave out, and eventually Jeff Scott Soto came in to save the day for 11 months and keep the band alive. But imagine, though, if Augeri had continued forward and there was no Arnel and there was no Jeff Scott Soto. This was just Steve Augeri's band. It's not his band, but he would be the singer up until now. You still would have had the Sopranos thing happen. You still would have had the Glee thing happen. The cultural sort of shift in the way people perceive this music, that it's more cultural than musical at a certain point, would have still taken place, and Augeri would have been he would have been the beneficiary of all of that. And I think it would have even made the band more popular because they would have had that continuity. They would have had just, technically, you could say, yeah, Kevin Chalfant and Robert Fleischman, Greg Raleigh, they're vocalists, sure, but the tenor voice would have been Perry to Augeri, and, it's maybe a small coincidence that Steve Perry sounds a little like Steve Augeri, right? And when he joined, I think Dean Castronovo said, hey, look, it's Steve Perry with a perm. One of the famous quotes from the VH1 documentary. So my guess is that Augeri and Journey would have been bigger than they even are now. I know that's kind of weird to say. Arnell's done a great job as well, but the continuity, the fact that they were building this audience, and who knows the kind of music they would have recorded with Augeri, because they were very consistent. When Arnell came on board, I think they made a conscious effort to go back to 1980-something and to make an album that sounded like that, which I liked. I loved that album, but there are fans that were kind of moving forward with Steve Augeri's sound and the way the band was making music. There's no sort of accident in the fact that they recorded, Faith in the Heartland again with Arnell. It's a great song, but it was sung, I think, better by Steve Augeri. I'm just telling it like I believe it. So, in any event, Steve Augeri, still touring, still putting out great music. Check out World of Our Own, which is his latest single. It's on YouTube and Spotify, and it's a killer song, has a great chorus. Steve sounds amazing, and if you have a chance to go see him, I would go see him. I think he would have continued that band on the trajectory that they were on back in 2006 when all heck broke loose after his voice kind of went out. And it's just too bad because he is one of the nicest human beings on planet Earth. All right, done with this video, in the can. I'll be back with more coming up soon. See you then.